Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So in this video, I'm sharing 10 reasons why Tesla stock will 10x from here. So let's get into the video. But first, hey guys, if you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. Unless you don't like free stocks, that is. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it. As I record this today, Tesla stock is in the mid $600 range, equating to a roughly $600 billion market capitalization. Kind of insane. Even more insane is the fact that I genuinely believe that over the next decade or so, give or take a few years, Tesla's market capitalization, therefore Tesla's stock price, is going to 10x. And in this video, I'm going to explain 10 reasons why I believe this is not only likely, but inevitable. Number 1, manufacturing. Now, it's no secret that Tesla has been learning the ropes when it comes to automotive manufacturing. A few years ago, they were ordinary at best, but in the span of just a few years, we've seen Tesla take a quantum leap forward and overtake the entire industry. This sounds like an exaggeration. This sounds like a deluded Tesla fanboy, but I'm not deluded. I'm not high. Well, actually, I might be high, but that's got nothing to do with this opinion I'm currently sharing. Tesla has gone from industry worst to industry best in just a few years, and this matters. Tesla's pace of innovation in terms of manufacturing is truly outstanding. Have you heard of the octovalve heat pump solution? Yeah, you know, the thing that any other company who's manufacturing vehicles could have invented any time over the last decade or two, but didn't. Yet Tesla did. Why? Because Tesla engaged their big brains and thought, how can we make this better, cheaper, and more efficient? And then they did exactly that. Most other automotive manufacturers at this stage are in cruise control. But wait, there's more. Now this one really matters. Tesla has invented a new material. One more time. Tesla, the company that manufactures vehicles, is doing cutting-edge material science, literally inventing new materials to do things that nobody else has been able to do in the past. Why? Once again, Tesla engaged their big brains and thought, how can we do this better, faster, and cheaper? And then went and found ways to do exactly that. And what material are we talking about in particular here? It's a new form of aluminium that can be injected in molten form into the world's largest gigantic casting machine to make the rear of the Model Y in a single cast piece instead of hundreds of separate parts and processes. Now, I could keep ranting and raving about all sorts of other innovations in terms of manufacturing, but I'm just going to sum it up very simply, guys. Tesla today is the gold standard in terms of manufacturing. They've got the biggest brain engineers. They're going to continue to drive their costs down. And as Elon Musk says, Tesla's real product, the machine that builds the machine, the manufacturing systems, the gigafactories themselves. This is Tesla's biggest competitive advantage over the long term. And all the evidence points to the fact that nobody is going to come even close to catching Tesla. Every time they delete a part in a process, drive a cost down, figure out how to do more with less, become even more resourceful, this allows Tesla to do one of two things, or both. 1, increase their profit margins. 2, reduce the prices of their products to get them in the hands of more customers. Or 3, a combination thereof, grow margins and reduce prices. This expands Tesla's market and increases their profitability dramatically. 2, vehicles. Today, most people think of Tesla as a car company, as an automotive manufacturer, and yes, this is part of their business. And at the moment, it's actually the core of their business. Over the long term, this may change. But irrespective of that, last year, Tesla delivered 500,000 vehicles. Tesla plans to deliver around 20 million vehicles in around 2030, about a decade's time. Now, some people think this is absolutely ridiculous. There's no way this could possibly happen. That would mean Tesla has about twice the market share of the world's largest automotive manufacturer today. Well, I'm here to tell you guys, Tesla only needs to double their production about 5.5 times, and they'll be there. Now, how's Tesla going to go about doubling their production multiple times over the next decade? It's pretty simple. Build a few more factories. Now let's do some math here. Tesla's 2 currently under construction factories, Austin and Berlin, between them will probably do around 5 million vehicles per year. We know Berlin itself is set to do 2+ million vehicles when fully built out. Austin is a much larger factory and a much larger site, and I suspect that's probably going to be around 3 million vehicles per year. That alone is 1/4 already taken care of. But wait, Tesla's already got an operating Fremont factory and an operating and expanding Shanghai factory. What's going to happen to those two factories over time? We know Shanghai ultimately will produce over 1 million vehicles per year, and I actually think it's probably going to be even more than that. Tesla can continue to buy adjacent land and expand. I think a tiny car is going to be made in China as well, a compact car, the Model 2, whatever you want to call it, super high volume vehicle. So I think that we could actually see Shanghai producing close to 2 million vehicles a year over the super long term as well. Then we've got the Fremont factory, call it around 600,000-700,000 annual units of capacity today. That too will continue to expand. Tesla keeps deleting parts and processes, so be mindful. They will be able to produce more vehicles from the same factory footprint. So it doesn't matter if today Fremont's maximum capacity, let's call it about 700,000 vehicles, doesn't matter if that's the capacity today. In the future, if Tesla can delete a third of the parts and processes from each production line, suddenly they're at about 1 million vehicles per year. So I suspect already, just from the factories we know exist and are operating or under construction, Tesla's somewhere around that 6 to 7 million units of capacity already. Okay, so effectively Tesla just needs to triple the number of factories they have, keep scaling and expanding, and they'll be there. And the thing is, Tesla has the most compelling technology and product. Their lead is unassailable. They have the best EVs on the market. Each new segment they go into, it's going to be the same story. Once they release a compact car, a van, it's the same thing. Tesla is going to dominate. They just have a superior product and no one can catch up to them in terms of technology, price point, performance, features, functionality, nothing. Okay guys, here we are, a calculator, don't worry, it won't take too long. Let's just imagine the average selling price of these 20 million vehicles in the future is $40,000. Use your own number, I'm not too fussed. I just want to make an example so you guys can see the implications here. If Tesla is selling 20 million vehicles in 2030, 2031, each at an average selling price of $40,000, we're talking $800 billion in revenue. Let's just say that these are each sold with a 30% gross margin. Now, some people may argue that's extraordinarily high. I would argue Tesla's big brain engineers will find a way to do it. Let's see the implications here. We're talking about $250 billion in gross profit just from automotive sales. This is a huge part in why I believe Tesla stock can easily 10x for here over the next decade. Not the only part, but a huge part. Number 3, energy. Now, which of these do you personally think is the more efficient way to harvest energy from the sun and use that to power all life on Earth? 1. Put a few solar panels or a solar glass roof up there in somewhere that gets some direct sunlight, harvest that energy with your solar panels and use that to directly power or store that energy in batteries to later power anything you would like. Or the alternative, which is what we do today, which seems a little bit more convoluted, which is to allow sunlight to hit the world's most efficient solar panels, those natural green ones you see everywhere called plants, then allow some animals to eat those plants and extract that sunlight, then fast forward a few 100 million or billion years till those organic materials, the plants and animals have died, decayed and fossilized and become, that's right, fossil fuels, then extract them from the earth, then use that to fuel and power whatever you need, and of course cause a lot of pollution as well. Which of those do you personally think is the more efficient way to generate and store energy? Plants, fossils, wait a few 100 million or a billion years, or rooftop solar and batteries? I rest my fucking case. Fossil fuels are officially done. Today it makes absolutely no sense to invest in any new forms of fossil fuel based power plants, including peaker plants, because the numbers make no sense. It's cheaper today to use solar and store that in batteries than it is to use fossil fuel based energy sources. Today. And these costs are going to continue to decline over time. And guess who's going to be there to sell solar panels, solar glass roof, and home battery storage, plus grid scale battery storage and commercial scale battery storage for everybody who wants to transition? That's right, Tesla. They're in the pole position. As Elon Musk has said, he believes Tesla's energy business could grow to be at least the same size as automotive. And when you do the numbers, this makes sense. Think about all the homes on planet Earth today that don't have solar. Think about all the homes on planet Earth today that don't have home battery storage. Think about all the businesses today that don't have rooftop solar or batteries. Yeah, I could keep going. You guys get the point, right? Number 4, autonomy. So maybe you've heard of Tesla's full self-driving, their autopilot software. Maybe you've heard me say 4 quadrillion times that Tesla's lead is unassailable. No one's catching them. They've got the data. They've got the fleet. They've got the best training system. There's no chance anyone catches up. Likely people will end up licensing Tesla's autopilot software in the future because it'll be easier to do that than try and solve it themselves. Yeah, that whole thing. Picture the year 2031. Tesla's total fleet of vehicles numbers around 100 million, all of them capable of autonomously driving people around from point A to point B. No driver, no supervision, no intervention required. Much safer than human drivers. Given the fact that the cost of autonomous robotaxis will be half, maybe even 1/10 of the cost of personal vehicle ownership, and far more convenient, you don't need to buy, you don't need insurance, maintenance, repairs, none of that stuff. You don't need to house and garage your car. You just hail a robotaxi on demand every time you need it. So let's do some really rough ballpark numbers to try to get a sense of the type of revenue and profitability Tesla might see in a decade's time based on their autonomous vehicles. I'm going to assume only half of these vehicles are actually deployed as robo-taxis in a decade's time. That's 50 million vehicles. Each of these vehicles I'll assume does 100,000 miles per year for a total of 5 trillion miles. For context, in the US alone, over 3 trillion miles per year are driven, so this is a very reasonable number. If each of these miles is charged out at $1 per mile, that's $5 trillion in total revenue. Let's say that Tesla takes a 30% cut of this, almost pure profit. That's $1.5 trillion. That's trillion with a T. Now, how much of this is margin? How much is profitability? The vast majority. Remember, what are the operating costs really? Maintaining an app, a little bit of infrastructure, some storage, etc. That's about it. Otherwise, this is almost pure profit. Now, do you guys know of any other companies that are generating around $1.5 trillion in profit per year? I sure fucking don't. Maybe you think this is completely ridiculous. What if we decide instead of $1 per mile, it's just 25 cents per mile? We easily just quarter this. We're still looking at $375 billion of almost pure profit per year in a decade's time for Tesla. $1/3 trillion every year. I could literally drop the mic here and we'd be done. That's enough to get Tesla to a $6 trillion valuation, but there's still plenty more points, so let's get into those now. Number 5, software and subscriptions. So in case you didn't realize, the revenue we just talked about from ride-hail, that was actual fares, nothing to do with full self-driving software subscriptions at all. So let's think about this. Using the same ballpark numbers, let's assume that half of Tesla's fleet in 2031, about 50 million vehicles, is actually paying for full self-driving software. They're also paying for Tesla insurance, and we'll also assume that about half of the people in the fleet are buying or paying for some form of infotainment, downloadable upgrades, etc. Let's look at how those numbers can play out. So we need to make a few assumptions here. I'm going to be what I believe is quite conservative and assume that in 10 years' time, Tesla is charging the equivalent of $20,000 for the full self-driving package, but it's via a subscription model where the ideal payback time is about 5 years. So easy math here, $20,000 divided by 5 years, that's $4,000 per year for Tesla's full self-driving package. We're also going to assume that insurance is $1,250 per year for a total of $5,250. And we're going to go out on a limb here, and we're also going to assume that in each of those robo-taxis, users are paying for $250 of upgrades, infotainment, games, whatever you want to call it, per year. That's a total of $5,500 per vehicle. Remember, this was an assumption based on half of their fleet, 50 million vehicles. So now we times that by 50 million, keeping in mind most of this revenue is highly profitable. We've got the full self-driving package. It's literally just flicking a switch. You've got infotainment, upgrades, etc., which is, again, just press a button. It's a done deal. We're looking at about $250 billion per year of extremely high margin revenue. $275 billion. And this is assuming only half of Tesla's fleet is using the full self-driving software, only half of Tesla's fleet is using Tesla insurance, and just a few minor upgrades, infotainment purchases, etc. Number 6, data. And no, I'm not referring to Tesla's full self-driving data, we've covered that, nor am I referring to the data they've generated in building and thermally managing all of these electric vehicles over the last decade or so. That's important, but what I'm referring to is the future treasure trove of data that Tesla's enormous fleet is going to be able to generate and how they may be able to monetize that. Let's think of a really crazy example just to illustrate the point. I'm not suggesting this is how the data will be used, but I just want to emphasize, in the future, when Tesla has a fleet of 100 plus million vehicles on roads covered in cameras, there's going to be so many potential ways for people to want to access information and get value from that I think this is a multi-billion dollar opportunity over the long term. Let's just say, for example, that you're a fashion designer and you want to understand what's happening in the latest fashion trends, what colors are people wearing this season, what's in, what's out, etc. In theory, you could effectively query Tesla's fleet and say, hey, what's the most popular color of shirt being worn in Times Square today? What style of footwear is popular in Rome at the moment? I could keep going, and there's trillions of other examples. What about local cities and councils wanting updates and information around potholes and stuff? Do you really think it's going to be beyond the means of Tesla to notice that there's a new pothole that's developed and send that data on to a city or council can actually do repairs and maintenance? I don't. Or what about Tesla's Street View? If you thought Google Street View was great, wait till you see what can happen when there's a fleet of millions of vehicles surrounded in cameras that can update maps in real time on every square centimeter of every road on the planet, almost. Once again, the point isn't this is how the data will be monetized. I'm just trying to illustrate there's so much potential value in the data that Tesla's fleet will be generating in the future. It's just a matter of finding ways to monetize that. And as I said, I think this is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. I actually think in the future, Tesla will specifically be hiring people to try to figure out ways they can monetize their data and sell that data to third parties. I think this is going to be a legitimate role within Tesla in just a few years' time. Number 7, partnerships and licensing. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. I think that most legacy automotive manufacturers are going to face the choice this decade, partner with Tesla or go bankrupt, whether that's in the form of licensing their full self-driving software, licensing some of their manufacturing techniques, buying battery cells from Tesla, buying a skateboard from Tesla, some combination thereof. As I've said, Tesla's full self-driving lead is unassailable. Their manufacturing techniques are in a whole other level. They're embarrassing the entire automotive industry. If you're desperately trying to turn around a big ship and transition from internal combustion engine vehicles to EVs, at the same time you're trying to catch up to Tesla on software, on full self-driving, why bother? Why not just take the shortcut, pay a little bit of a fee, get some of Tesla's technology, some of their IP, and actually survive the decade? And I think this is a scenario that's going to play out. Number 8, Dojo as a service, something that Elon Musk has already hinted at. Tesla's neural network training platform, Dojo, cutting edge, world-class, and Elon's very open to licensing this in the future. I can see Dojo as a service being quite similar to Amazon Web Services, originally developed in-house to meet their own needs and then eventually such a compelling world-class product that others want to use this as well. Number 9, new products. We're talking VTOL, we're talking HVAC, we're talking all sorts of other things that we haven't even imagined yet. Tesla has the biggest brain engineers of practically any company on Earth besides SpaceX. There's a bit of cross-pollination between these two companies. We've got Elon Musk at the helm as well. What are the odds that in 10 years' time, Tesla's going to have a range of new products we couldn't even have imagined? Exactly. Number 10, Elon fucking Musk. I don't need to tell you guys that Elon's one of the smartest humans to ever live, one of the best executors, leaders, engineers, business people, innovators, creators, inventors. I could keep going. I don't need to tell you this. You already know this. I suspect in a decade's time, Elon Musk's core focus will be building out the Mars colony with SpaceX, but I still believe, despite the fact that I think he'll have stepped down from the CEO role at Tesla at that stage, he'll still be heavily involved in new products, engineering, and some other bits and pieces. After all, he's an engineer at heart and a workaholic. Tesla's mission is extremely important. I can't see Elon Musk just doing one thing with one company for the rest of his days. To paraphrase Gally from Hyperchange, owning Tesla stock is like owning a never-expiring call option on the greatest innovator, inventor, and engineer of our time. In other words, if you want your company to make billions and billions and billions of dollars, disrupt, transform, and innovate, all you need to do, let Elon. Ooh, damn, that sounds like a great idea for a shirt. BRB. Well, I actually did it. Introducing Let Elon merch. Got some shirts, hoodies, mugs, long sleeves, phone cases. So if you'd like to pick up your own, show your support for the channel, and also hopefully stimulate some interesting conversations, check out the link in the description. And there we have it. 10 reasons why Tesla stock will 10x again over the next decade. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Tesla stock will be able to 10x over the next decade? Maybe more, maybe less? What's your guess? What will Tesla stock be worth in 10 years' time? I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget, if you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. And if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.